And I mean it sincerely, the news could have been any better. Economic growth is up, stronger than expert expected. Now we've got to protect those gains. We've got to protect those gains that our policies have generated. Protect them from the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives who are threatening to destroy this progress. Look, you know, this ain't your father's Republican Party. This is a different breed of cat, as they say. So I have a rhetorical question. What in God's name would the Americans give up the progress we've made for the chaos they're suggesting? I will not let it happen. Not on my watch. I will veto everything they send us.
Progress. Talk about backward progress. That's our out-of-touch president today, having the nerve to tout the terrible economy that he created. The latest GDP report showed a small fourth quarter growth at 2.9%. That's what he's so eager to celebrate. Meanwhile, the country is still on the brink of a recession, and people can't afford eggs. The inflation rate when Joe took office was 1.23%. Now it is 6.5%. Folks, not quite cause for a celebration. To discuss, I'm happy to be joined by former Arkansas governor and former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Governor, welcome to the program. It's nice to see you tonight. You know, Biden said today he'll veto everything Republicans bring forward on the economy. He also made some pretty rich lies about Republicans planning to raise gas prices and destroy Social Security. I mean, so much for working across the aisle. What should the Republican Party's game plan be to combat this type of stonewalling?
Sometimes, Jen, the best response to something this ridiculous is ridicule. I would suggest that Republicans just ridicule this as nonsense. The American people know, if they just look at their own 401k retirement accounts, that Joe Biden's economy has not been good for them. You mentioned the price of eggs. I saw a meme today that summed it up beautifully. Someone had a broken egg in the picture, and it said, "Today I broke an egg making breakfast, but my insurance adjuster is going to come and see what kind of claim we can get for it." Because people are paying prices they've never paid for a lot of just simple consumer items. When Joe brags about what a great job he's done, he almost breaks his arm patting himself on the back, but he's doing it by breaking the legs of a lot of Americans who can't afford to pay their rent. They've seen everything from their energy prices go up. And Joe's solution to that, go buy yourself an electric car. It's like telling a homeless person, go buy a mansion. You'll live better in that.
Yeah. You know, it's hard for a guy to relate when he was getting $50,000 in rent payments from his son. I mean, totally different from what middle America is experiencing right now. I mean, Wallet Hub had a survey out this month that 2/3 of U.S. residents, they believe inflation will be worse in 2023. 87% are concerned about inflation. And Joe, he made a pretty unexpected admission today about the way the middle class is really voting. Listen to this.
Isn't it kind of interesting why all of a sudden, it hadn't been with my case, but all of a sudden, blue-collar workers, all the guys I grew up with in Claymont and Scranton, they're voting Republican? Not a joke. What's happened? I think a lot of it because they don't think we care. We're not paying attention.
You know, it's funny, Governor, up in that part of Pennsylvania where he's from, I drive through there a lot, and you've got the Joe Biden presidential highway, but you see a lot of signs for Republican politicians, and it's really red country up there. I mean, you got these blue-collar workers who are voting red because nobody can afford to vote blue anymore. I mean, he acknowledges this, but he does nothing to help them.
Yeah, I'm just expecting any day Joe Biden to put on some overalls, go out in the field and say, I'm just one of you guys. He always is pretending. Look, Joe Biden's been in government since he was in his 20s. It's the only job he's ever known. And he's become a multimillionaire in government jobs. Now, think about that. How did he do that? These blue-collar guys, they work really hard. They don't make that kind of money. But then again, they don't get their sons to fly on Air Force Two, go to China, make a business deal where the big guy gets a 10% cut. I think people are sick of the insider stuff that Joe Biden has become in the embodiment of. Most importantly, what I hope people will do is just listen to what he says. This is the president who promised, I'm going to bring us together. I'm going to show bipartisanship. And then today he says, whatever the Republicans send, I'll veto it. In other words, he's already made a presumptive strike against an idea he hasn't even heard. That's absurd.
Yeah, and he's got his branding of the MAGA economic plan. The Washington Post even saying this might be a preview of how he's going to speak on the campaign. in fact decide to run in 24. But Governor, before we let you go, I want to ask you about what's going on with Newsmax. We've seen this latest censorship move by AT&T's DirectTV when they chose to cancel Newsmax programming. We saw President Trump weigh in. He said that this decision to deplatform Newsmax was, quote, disgusting. He is personally canceling AT&T services. He's calling for a national boycott as well. What type of impact will that have on AT&T and DirectTV?
I think it's got to be a cumulative impact of people who are stockholders, letting it be known they're going to dump their stock because they don't want to invest in a company that has lost its mind. They recognize that here's a company that's paying CNN, one of the most disgusting and despicable excuses for a news channel, and they won't play fair with a legitimate channel like Newsmax. Look, Newsmax may have a point of view, but then who doesn't? But the point is there are a lot of Americans who really like Newsmax. The growing audiences says so. And for DirectTV to play such hardball and just pretend the audience for Newsmax, we don't care. Okay, maybe that audience should say to DirectTV, you know, you just don't matter to us that much anymore. I don't know what else gets to them. I don't think it's a government intervention because they're a private business. They can argue that they can do what they want, but so can their customers. And their customers need to let their voices be heard.
Indeed. A lot of folks outraged, and they can speak with their wallets. Former Governor Mike Huckabee, appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight.
My pleasure, Jen. Thank you.